Hey, folks. Welcome, YouTube, and hello, Periscope. Hey, guys. Welcome. Welcome to Periscope and to YouTube and Twitch. Let me just do a little setup here, as always. Takes a few seconds to get this all figured out. Audio, good. Okay, good. I had to change the USB so you don't get the beeping sound. So that's one of the changes, is the USB is now powered. I have a powered USB. And the purpose is to make sure we don't get that occasional beeping sound that you hear from the USB disconnecting, which I think is probably because of the long USB cable, because everything's kind of far away here. Camera's far away, the microphones, multiple microphones. So just, things like that has to be set up. And just to avoid complications, I went with the powered USB. So let me know if it's beeping. It shouldn't beep anymore, right? I hope. It's beeping done. So welcome, guys, and I want to continue the conversation we had yesterday about cell phones, and then extend it into other things that relates to RF. Chair just beeped. Yes, that's the little stool I have the computer on is what's making that sound. So anyway, yesterday I talked to you about how your cell phones can be hacked using a Stingray or MC catcher. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, and then we'll get into some other things related to that. Hello, Marie Freeze. Hello, Periscope. Let's see, who did I miss here? So here on YouTube we have Twist Min and Termeyer, Drac, AMG, Dr. Alcom, and Deanna said she was leaving, Doug, Storm Media. Hello, guys, on YouTube, and some others that are not speaking out on YouTube. And then what do we have here on Periscope? Now, one thing that I realize here on Periscope. Hello, John, shocking guy. One thing I realized on Periscope is because of the way Periscope's changed, where everything has really been refocused to the chat. What do you call that? The call-ins. That I don't even show up in the global list hardly anymore, and so which means they've basically Periscope has made me invisible. So if you are doing call-ins, you can get popularity, and since I don't do call-ins, then I guess Periscope says, "Where's it gonna zuck you?" So now I'm zucked on Periscope, and so it is what it is. So if you would watch me on YouTube instead, because that's where all the videos are anyway. So welcome everyone, and who's on here on Periscope? The many missing people, but here we have Livendi and John and Shocking Guy and Anonymous and Joan Marie and Tommy Buck and T and Michael and Perry Pilot and others. The Eagles here, Eagle Swords, hello, hoodoos, J Monkey Man. Okay, so your Jay Go Talk on YouTube, and iSocial Fit is not here. Okay, so happy Passover, yes, for you. And then for the rest of you, it's happy Easter tomorrow. I'm not scoping tomorrow, so I'm not broadcasting tomorrow. So hello, Ben. So happy Easter to those of you. I have tonight. Anyway, yesterday I talked about how you can be hacked by Stingray, and my curiosity was so piqued that I actually did something pretty crazy last night. I actually did some research on building my own Stingray. So he said, what's the best way to learn about how this works, other than to build your own? Stingray is really a base station. So it's a base transceiver station, or BTS. That's what it's called. So I found some fantastic hardware that works in the range all the way to 5G. And it wasn't cheap, but I figured might as well get it right. And basically, with this hardware, I can build my own cell station. No, a computer, not a Pi, but a computer, and it's has this hardware. And one of the projects you can build with this is to actually build an actual cell base station. So what is a Raspberry Pi? A Raspberry Pi is actually a base station. It's called a BTS, not the band, not the boy band, but the BTS, the base transceiver station. And the what is characteristic of a Stingray is that it's a stronger base station because it's close to you. So if you power up a base station next to your phone, then obviously that will be the base station that your phone is going to go into, which means in theory then you can spy on it just like Stingray does. So I'm going to emulate that. Why would you want to? Because I want to see how it's going to be a project, because I can make videos about it and figure out and explain to you in much more detail about how all of this works, and maybe show you some videos and use it for other things like frequency spectrum checking. And as an example of something you can do, you can don't piss. No, we're not going to do that, Shocking Guy. We're just going to do it in the lab, so we're not actually going to transmit. So it's going to be a localized test only, just to see how it works. Meaning you have to be like this far away. I'm going to test it with, I think, only within a few feet. It's basically lab testing. It's not something that It doesn't have the power or antenna to go do it in the open space anyway. So, but it's going to be fantastic to understand what actually happens with Stingray. And I was reading up on it, and it's just simple programming. And hello GM, and and I looked at the programs. I said, hey, this is pretty simple. I can handle this. And I looked at it, and I actually read the instructions, and I said, this is easy to do. So building a base station, which is what Stingray is, and I went and watched some of the DEF CON videos and how to do it. And when I looked at it, I said, wow, it's not really that complicated. It's not really that complicated to do. And then you start to understand, how exactly they hack. I live in a Faraday cage. So hello, Bratwurst Power. Zucking Periscope Nazis make what? Yes, they make me invisible. Hello, Mark Gabello. Hello, Pat's Fan. Okay, hello, Deanna's back. Initials okay. Editoli. Hello, Editoli. Editoli is new. Welcome on YouTube. So anyway, I'm gonna get it's kind of a new board. It's brand new. I think they released it only at the beginning of the year, and so not too many people have this particular board, but it has the capability to go all the way to 5G. So with this one board, I can do many things with it. I just think about the projects I can do with this, in fitting with the topic I have today, which is radio frequency. Aside from listening to air traffic control and listening to aircraft transponders and satellites and things like that. I mean, I said one of the projects is you can build a base station, build a cell station. You can actually build your own cell network with this. I mean, it's not going to have range, but you could actually put one of these in your home and then put another one in your brother's home, your sister's home, your mom's home, and basically you have cell service. You can actually build like your homemade cell service. And you can actually use your phone and will actually talk, and nobody charges you anything because you're not going through any of the commercial carriers. It's kind of a fun little project to figure out. And it just uses the internet. Levendi, no carrier updates with no iPhone XS, huh? Levendi, that's very interesting. Because usually you get a carrier update when you go, maybe they figured out that we know about those carrier updates. So maybe they figured that out. So I'm glad I don't use, I was never a big, watching on Periscope too, Mark? Okay. So anyway, this is so interesting to me that, how this can be done. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do, there it is, Lavendi, your phone already got you. So yeah, they said, oh, we don't need to try, we already got you. We're already tracking you now. One of the things, what hardware, is it an ETIS board? No, I got a brand new Blade RF 2.0 micro board. Blade RF 2.0 micro. It's the most advanced board in this price range. So it goes all the way to 6 gigahertz. And it goes, I have the cheaper one right now, and a RTL SDR, and then I have that's good for receiving, but a Blade RF 2.0 micro is actually good for testing hacking things. So I can actually test, hacking with, because it has duplex transmit. I have the 40K Logic Element 1. I have the old Blade RF. The new Blade RF is replacing the old one. I can't find the old one, but the new one is available. The old one is not. So I said, well, why am I buying the old one when the new one goes to 6 gigahertz? So I have a new one. And again, just to name you some projects that I'm thinking about that I can demonstrate here. One of the things I was worried about was, is there a way to make a spectrum analyzer? So basically you check your home and see if somebody's listening in. Is there a way to to do that, to go around your home and see if somebody's spying on you. So you can buy some inexpensive detectors on on Amazon, but for roughly the same price. They're not they're not that sophisticated. This one, you actually can do anything, and for example, you can make a baseline of the frequencies in your house, and then you can see if there's anything unusual, like extra. No, I'm not. This is all programming, Jerry. It's actually I am not a electrical engineer. I'm a software developer, though. So it's all software. This stuff is all software now. So it's just programming. And I was looking at it, it's like, this is easy stuff. It's just programming. Yeah, there are spectrum analyzer programs open source. Yes. So if you have the problem is getting a device that can actually reach the entire spectrum, and you can even do it. Yes, easy for me. So you can even do it with my cheapo RTL SDR radio. You're also a programmer. So this is such a fun project. I'm actually testing the spectrum analyzer using a cheap RTL SDR and seeing if that's going to work. And it doesn't have the range though, so it doesn't it doesn't get into the gigahertz category. And in order to spot everything that's going on, you got to go all the way from the low band all the way to the gigahertz category, and then you can see if somebody's spying on you. And this is such a curiosity to me, to see what frequencies are around you and what people can do to spy on you. One of the things, for example, that is an attack that you may have seen. It's called the replay attack. So let's say that I have this RTL SDR, which is a software-defined radio, on my computer, and I can listen into the airwaves. So I can listen to all the frequencies, right? Yes, garage door opening. So if you open up your garage, it has a fixed frequency, so you can actually just listen in with antenna, listen into the garage door opening with your remote, capture that, and then replay it. So if you can replay with a transmitter, replay the same RF that it heard, you can actually then replay opening the garage door. Now, some older cars can be opened as well using this technique, but newer cars don't do that anymore. They figured out a way to do a changing key so the key doesn't stay fixed, probably time-based. So you can actually do things like this, like if anyone requires opening using RF radio frequency, then you can just do replay. And it's very, very interesting how you do that. Another way of using something like this is, let's say you want to replay or listen to RFID. So my current device can do that. It can listen to an RFID device. So so in theory, for example, you can be at a what do you call this? Somebody's talking to me in Korean. Korean, right? Twice Momo. Newer garage doors use rolling codes. Yeah, who has a new garage door? I have an old garage door. I don't have a rolling code. Hello, Twice Momo. One of the things that you can do is put a device next to an RFID to know if you can capture the RFID information if you're near the scanner. And then you can capture that information, store it, and again, do replays with it and so on. So, for example, you can figure it out as far as, charging a credit card and so on, things like that. I'm curious about what it can actually see, so then I know if the RFID is, how it works and what kind of encryption is available to it. Usually none, because RFID is passive. It's not like let me show you this. Okay, this is a credit card, right? So this is a credit card, and this credit card has a chip on there, the typical chip card credit card now, right? So all of you have this, and this is not actually RF. This is the misnomer because that is not RFID. Okay, that little chip on there is actually a contact chip. Why, you want to see my credit card number? Okay, so that's a contact chip. That is not a that is not actually a radio frequency based thing. So when you insert it into the machine, it actually has to have contact with that the metal portion there, and then this one is actually programmable. So it's actually a program in there. This is not just just a normal chip. So this one is when you actually plug it in, then I presume it gets power, and then the programming in there can respond to the chip. So they probably have some way to come up with some logic in there to identify it. So is that the same as a SIM? You're right. It kind of looks like the same size as a SIM, doesn't it? Tesla power. It's called passive. No, this is not passive RFID. Where did you get that? No, this is not. This. I was just explaining. This is not RFID. These are NFC. Yes. No, these are not even NFC. This is actually contact. It's a contact chip. It's not near field. Okay? Near field doesn't need contact. This one needs contact. That's why you can't really hack this without actually inserting it. So this is not near field. Near field is when you put the card number on your phone, then your phone is behaving like near field. Okay, so near field uses radio frequencies, but there's a program on your computer, on your phone, so then it's active. So, it can actually, the Apple can garble the identifiers. Chase remove RAID from cards, hacking issues. RFID from cards, yes. Tesla dreamed of transmission of wireless electricity. Okay, so let me just explain again. Well, you're going to have to see if near field can be hacked, but obviously it's based on an algorithm similar to the rolling codes that we're talking about. So what is a rolling code concept? So you can see that now when you do Google Authenticator or Authy, which is something that we all use, and I use it as an authenticator to my app, for example. Now, how that works is there's an algorithm based on time. I'll be back. Of course, you're going to eat drought. That's always the case. So the algorithm for doing the rolling codes for an authenticator is actually quite simple. What it's based on is it uses the base number is the secret. The secret is known to the Google Authenticator and to the application. So the application says, keep the secret, Google Authenticator. And then that secret is used mathematically to come up with a hash value. It's a computed value based on the time. And so it comes with a random number that's seeded by time. So since the device uses time, the other device, meaning the server for the app, is also using the same program, and they also have the same time. So therefore, using the same math, they will come up with the same value, and therefore they can match. As long as you know the secret, you can pass a code that is computed will have the same value. I'm going to get into RFID a little bit here to explain RFID to you. But this method assures that because mathematically it has to change every time you have a time thing, and and it's based on random numbers. It's actually not going to be something. It is he whose name we do not speak. Oh yeah, somebody with a letter K. I can speak. I can speak about this person with a name that we cannot speak if he goes on YouTube because he tends to overrun our broadcast here on Periscope. So if you go on YouTube, I will be more happy to, since your text will come up right on there. It's just that you are so difficult to respond to because you have this very, very long text. Okay. And people on YouTube have complained that I've been spending too much time on one of the platforms instead of balancing it out. And the balance really is related to this guy named K. Okay? Okay, so there you go. So then I will ignore probably 2/3 of your comments. Okay, so do you support 420? You mean the 420? Is it 420 already? What is the date today? It's already 420? I don't do 420, Donnie. So, I don't have any problem with you doing 420. I just don't do it. Okay? Today is 420? Okay, I don't do 420. So I don't have any opinion. Okay? So Portland is high today. There you go. Jerry's high in Portland. So since I don't do 420, I'm gonna assure you that yes, I did not do anything related to 420 today. You should be wearing green. Why is it St. Patrick's Day? Again, 20. I don't smoke. What is 420? Okay, somebody explain 420 to Sharp Eagle. So anyway, I didn't even know it was 420. I wasn't looking at the calendar. I don't pay attention to such things. So back to what I'm talking about. With, Denver's always high. Physically high. Mile high. It's mile high. There, everyone is explaining it all to you, Sharp Eagle. Everyone's explaining it to you. I don't see the purpose of a 420 in California since it's all legal in California. Okay? It's all legal in California. Make sure to check out the Universal Radio Hacker software for the SDR. I don't know. Does that on Kali? You mean the Kali or which one? The specific Linux build for hacking. And will it work with Blade RF 2.0 micro? Because there's a lot of compatibilities with Blade 2.0 micro. So, but I know it works with the BTS base station software. So I know that's going to work. It's going to be exciting when I get into that. Anyway, back to what I'm talking about, which is this. So this is actually a contact chip. So this is not really hackable by RF. It will work with Blade RF. Just install it on whatever OS. Slow drip to what? What is the message retracted? You'd retracted it, Karen? So this is not really hackable in the same way. We were always asking at the beginning when these chips came out, if it's hackable. Hey, JK. And as it turns out, it's not because it's contact based. So there is a RFID version of a credit card. Now the RFID credit cards, it's actually different because you have kind of a Wi-Fi symbol on the back of it typically, and you see the little Wi-Fi symbol on it. And to be honest with you, It's extremely rare to find an RFID. In fact, I don't have one. It's extremely rare to have an RFID based credit card in the US. In the US, it's extremely rare to have a RFID based credit card. Most of the credit cards here uh, will will never use that. And RFID is more used for identity tags and such. So a lot of businesses will have an RFID based identity like this. RFID may also be used for opening doors to hotels. Sometimes it's magnetic stripe. Sometimes they use RFID. So those are more used in those instances. Now, let me just tell you something about RFID. So uh, RFID is actually in most cases RFID is passive. If they're the tiny flat ones. So, if, for example, I'm going to give you an example of this. If you go to your Walmart, your Target, whatever, would you have to use fingerprint to unlock home door? RFID use in inventory control big time. So when you go to a department store, what they do is they have those flat, almost barcode looking things, and often it may just be a strip of paper inserted in a book. For example, if you're buying a book from let's say Barnes and Noble, they'll have a little RFID little strip in there, and those are called passive RFIDs. They don't have any power. They don't have any power. So how does RFID work? The way RFID works is actually because they're not powered. The way they actually work is that a device needs to send them RF. So by itself, they don't do anything. So in order for RFID to work, somebody has to blast the RFID, paper or chip or whatever. No, not induction, but direct. What's the term for that? Just focus the RF energy towards the device, and then it will reflect it. So RFID is done by reflection. So there was one guy who was arguing with me here on Periscope. The guy who does he does scopes on building. What do you call that? To print the printing to print like various devices. The printing machine. What do you call the printing machine? So RFID on the gotten very technical. You don't like must be J. 3D printing. Yes, there you go. 3D printing. So this guy came in here and said, "Well, I'm an electrical engineer, and you don't know zuck about RFID." And then he started spouting off some technical stuff in here and said, "You don't know anything about how that works. RFID has short range." So just some facts about RFID. Normally, RFID is used in very short range, usually in inches, like, uh, for a passive one, typically just a short distance, because you typically are just putting the tag next to the reader. What the reader does is send a RF signal down to the device, and then it reflects it. And the reflection then is captured, and the reflection has data. So when you send it RF, it uses that from the reflection. Reflection contains the data that's on the thing. And usually it's just a number. So it's like a barcode. So usually it's just a barcode. Now, what's interesting about the way that RFID works is that obviously you can hide it. If you put the RFID in your pocket, it doesn't matter, because I reflect energy, RF energy to you, and your thing will reflect it. And so I know if you're stealing something from a store. That's why I can't fry eggs in a microwave. So when you go past the doorway of a store, of a retail store, then it's beeps because you're within so many feet of the. That's why if you notice you go through the entrance of of a store, they have two of those devices on either side of you. So you have a reader on the left and reader on the right, and usually it's only enough for one person to fit, right? So if you look at that, then the RFID is no more than like a foot and a half away from encountering the RFID on each side. So that's the way it works with passive RFID. So they have that big reflector thing in there. It reflects RF to you, and then the RFID will reflect it back, and then they get the serial number, and then that will trigger something in the software that says, we found RFID tag 12345, and then they identify that as a inventory number, and that you're stealing something, and then the alarm goes. Okay, so that's how that works at the store. Now that is called passive RFID. Now if you notice, if you go to let's say a Gap or some clothing store, they have those bigger tags, and usually they're bigger plastic things, and they have a little lock on it so that when you can't take it off without using some sort of magnetic lock or electromagnetic or something. There's an internal lock, then they have to pass it through some electromagnetic thing, and then it unlocks it. And it's attached to your clothes, so it's pretty hard to take off without damaging the clothing. That is different because that is an active RFID. Active. So that thing has power on it because it's big enough to have power. Now, what is the significance of an RFID with power? Well, it has bigger range because when you reflect it, it has power, so it's able to respond back at a greater distance. Okay, so why don't you do some weed, Jay, and instead of interrupting, do you have an RFID reader? I don't have an RFID reader at this moment. I used to have, for programming, I used to have barcode readers and RFID readers and magnetic card readers. They're all the same. They work with the same principle. You look at the data and you either scan it visibly or it's magnetic. You run the card, and then the magnetic stripe part of it will have the data, and then it shows up on the computer as kind of like a keyboard. And then RFID is just contactless because you're doing it from a few inches away. Now, the thing about RFID, which is the misnomer about this, is that RFID is claimed to be short range, and this has to do partly with the frequency used. So that I have to find out exactly what frequency they use. Because if it's a higher frequency, then obviously it's shorter range, okay? Because I don't know what frequency they use to power the RFID. So maybe that's what the electrical engineer was saying. Well, this RFID uses 10 gigahertz or something, and so that will be short distance. Well, that's true. If it's the higher the frequency, if it's in the gigahertz range, then it will be by nature be short distance. I can't imagine why you would necessarily be stuck with RFIDs that necessarily need short distance. Somebody can Google. Can somebody Google and find out what frequency RFID uses? I'm just curious. I didn't check it out today, but I'm curious about what is the frequency for RFID, and I'll see if it's high frequency or low frequency. For the old one, the old RFID, what is referred to as Generation A RFID, because the new ones are different. The new ones are called Gen B RFIDs, Generation B. Okay, so the old Generation A, if you max it out with sending it the max amount of RF energy, will, I believe, respond to you within 30 feet. Now, normally they're used within 6 inches. Okay, normally they're used within 6 inches. But the specs of it says that it can max out at 30 feet. Now, why is that? Well, the thing is that some of this is kind of partly at the lies. 1356 what? Megahertz at low. That's low. Yeah, that's long range. 1356 megahertz is low range. Yeah, that's long range. Is that the current RFID or the old one? That's very low range. So you can send 13 megahertz from a long distance. That will carry. That's very long distance. So anyway, a RFID is not limited actually by itself, and this is the misnomer that you ought to understand. RFID is limited by the FCC. RFID is limited by the FCC. Meaning the FCC says, okay, your RFID will be limited to, whatever milliwatts or, whatever fraction of a watt that they are going to specify so that it's low power. Okay? Now, I'm telling you, I'm getting this device. I'm getting a hardware that has a transmitter on it, I'm getting this Blade RF device next week, and it's kind of expensive, but it's this device can actually send any kind of transmitter capability you want. So you can actually test it at a longer range. Well, I'm not going to do that because the FCC is gonna go, get mad at me. So I'm actually not going to do it. But if you're a hacker, understand what this means. It means that if you have your own transmitter device, you're a bad guy. What limits you to sending something in milliwatts? Why don't you send this, a kilowatt transmission signal? A lot of RF. Okay, so somebody actually did this. Somebody did this at DEF CON. So DEF CON is the hackers conference in Las Vegas, and so somebody actually took an RFID thing, and then made a transmitter using a toy. So it's not even using what I'm using, which is a fancy piece of equipment. He actually used a toy. So he took apart the RF transmitter of some toy, so it's low power, and then pointed it at the RFID to see if it from a distance, from one end of the table to the other end of the table, and just put a focused beam of RF on it, and this thing reflected information back. Okay, and they showed this on. It was pretty cool because you could see it on DEF CON. Now, what is interesting about this is the part we didn't actually know, that depending on the programming of the RFID can actually give you data back. For example, the RFID may include microphone capability. So you can actually, and I theorized this, guys. I've always theorized this, that this is possible. It's actually pretty easy to do, and you can see with DEF CON. Somebody can have, I have a picture of this in my website, whatthezuck.net, but they have those tiny little drones, that insect-sized drones. So you can have insect-sized drones now. They're being tested in universities, etc. I only accept Jason. So you can get RFID writer for $18 on Amazon. Yeah, that's $20 should get you anything. Magnetic card reader, RFID reader, barcode scanner. Yeah, they're all the same. Okay, my tinfoil hat. Hold on. Would you put chip in the body just to test it? That's why I keep my credit cards in my hat. Your credit cards do not have RFID. Most of them in the U.S. don't have RFID. You can block RFID readers by shielding the credit card with a conductive material such as aluminum foil. Wrap your credit card in aluminum foil. The aluminum foil shields the credit card. You mean a Faraday bag? Okay, I missed all these comments on on YouTube because I was talking. Most countries have assigned the 125 or 134 areas of spectrum for low frequency RFID systems. Okay, so 125 kilohertz, that's pretty low frequency. Yeah, that's 125 kilohertz. That's like below low FM, AM, below AM. That's very, very low. Are you sure 125? That's almost like ham radio frequency already. Are you sure that's kilohertz, not megahertz? Well, 125 megahertz is air traffic control. So that can't be that. Okay. So anyway, again to repeat for those of you who missed this, like Kathy. Kathy, most credit cards do not have RFID. Low frequency 125 to 130. That's pretty low. Yeah, that's very low. That's just, that's very low. That's below AM radios. Do you use new passports have a chip now? Yes, they do, Starlight. I should get a what? A plane? I should get a plane. I want. Okay, so let me just high frequency. There's a high frequency version of this. High frequency or 43 and 860. 860 megahertz. In case you didn't know, 860 megahertz is your cell in the U.S. That's you can scan that. I've scanned the 800 range, 850 and above, and that's all of your cell phone traffic. LTE, 3G, GSM, that's all in that 850 range, and then for some carriers, it's in the 1900 range. So 850 megahertz. 1900 megahertz. My device can't reach 1900 megahertz, so I can't scan that. But I'm scanning the 850, and I can see all the cell traffic on there. So I can see cell traffic at 850 and above. So, and I've been looking at that. So anyway, RFID is not on credit cards. I just want to make sure that's clear. Most of the RFID is actually in Europe. Most American credit cards do not use RFID. It's very rare. This chip is not an RFID. You do not need to put this in a Faraday bag. This is all contact. So you cannot hack this when it's in your wallet. Okay? I checked the specs on it, and that is not RFID. That is not near field either. That's contact. Okay? I went on a plane with a lot of cash. Would they know I have it with some kind of RFID? They do not have RFID on the bills, U.S. currency, at the current time. At the current time, they do not have RFID on bills. So that is a conspiracy theory that there's RFID on bills, and a researcher actually researched that and could not find any RFID on a bill. My MasterCard, PayPal has RFID. That's very rare, J. Colby. Very rare in the U.S. Very rare to have RFID in the U.S. It's maybe 1% of the cards have RFID. Business debit card. Okay. So be careful with that, J. Colby, because can you imagine that the RFID has static information on there, presumably a credit card number. So if I just come near you or blast you with RFID and get a reflection back, I could then get the information from the card. Now, let me just tell you some of the hacks done on RFID so you understand how this is actually used in real life. A lot of businesses uses RFID for their identification. A lot of businesses use RFID for identification. So they carry a, ID card, and that's RFID on it, and then, or near field. So you actually, mostly RFID. So typically you have to put the card near the sensor when you walk in. In many buildings, they give you a card, you walk near the sensor, and then security lets you in, okay? So those are RFID. Now, this is what's interesting. So hackers have done this. This has been demonstrated in DEF CON and so on. And what they do is yeah, JK is Monkey Man, obviously, Starlight. So if you get close to somebody with RFID, all you have to do is do the same thing that this guy did at DEF CON, which is to send you a targeted RF, and it will reflect back. You can actually test this. Somebody tested it with Hack RF, which is a piece of hardware that can actually send a transmit. So I got a device that can actually transmit from like 40 kilohertz all the way down to 6 gigahertz. So that's the one I bought, and I'm gonna get that next week. And I can actually test this. So I can actually do send a signal to an RFID, get the reflection back, and see what it says. What does it say on the RFID? So, but you do need a reader because it's actually just sensing what the reader's sending, unless you go hack the reader and figure out how the reader can transmit to the RFID. So if they know how to do that, then all you have to do is walk by their sensor. So can you imagine? I'll give you a theoretical here. So this guy is a hacker, wants to get into the building, sits in the lobby right before you get into the sensor, sits in the lobby, has a card, and then on a computer has the sensing device for RFID, and then he pings somebody walking by, steals the RFID information and does a capturing the RF, and then does a playback. When he walks by the machine, he just plays it back. So maybe it's a little button, and then it tells the computer to spit the same signal back and act like he has a card. The card may not have anything on it, and then it spits the signal back and says, "Oh yeah, you're cool to go." This is a very easy hack. It's the same thing that you can do in hotel rooms. So let's say that your hotel room uses RFID. Some use RFID, some use magnetic. Okay, so obviously the magnetic ones, you can't do anything unless you take possession of their card and do a swipe. Then you see what the magnet has, what the magnetic strip has, what information's on there. So if you have to steal somebody's card and do that. But RFID is easier to steal because then all you have to do is just get close to somebody, send them an RFID signal, and then get a reflection back. The RFID wallets, the RFID with a strong enough signal supposedly can react within 30 feet. 30 feet. Okay, and that's the old kind of RFID. Now I'm going to tell you something that's a little bit more distressing here. They are now requiring that new passports. So if you're getting a new U.S. passport, the new U.S. passports all have RFID on it. Okay, so new U.S. passports. I have an old U.S. passport. I don't have a new one, but the new U.S. passports in the last couple of years would have RFID. Now, the TSA is now requiring that we have we have driver's license cards with RFID on it. That's the new ones. Now, this really bothers me. Now, I don't have one of these yet because California is very, very late in implementing this, which is very good. What year? I'm saying the last couple of years they require this. I have new one from about 5 years ago. Probably not yet. Probably a couple of years ago. This was something that was required because of TSA, and they want electronic ID. Okay, so the TSA just wants to grab your yes. So anyway, think about what I'm talking about here. The RFID that they put on the new passports are not the RFIDs that they use for your name tags and the old credit cards. It's not. What they actually have is something else. They're called Generation B RFIDs. The Generation B RFIDs are the ones that they're going to put in driver's licenses and in passports. And let me just tell you something about these RFIDs. They actually have a range of, I believe, 100 feet, 30 meters. 30 meters. Now, I would imagine the reason they did this was so that if you drive a car through a checkpoint, they can check the RFID, at the checkpoint without even having to ask for your identification. You're moving to Canada? Well, on your way to Canada, Jerry, they will scan your ducking passport and driver's license, and you're at the border, and Canada may do this too. So when you cross the border, they're going to do this Generation B RFID that has a range of 100 feet, and they will then register you and automatically, approve you or disapprove you before you even, they don't even need to ask for anything. That's one of the purposes of putting RFID in a passport. Now, here's the problem, folks. If the passport has an RFID, that means it has a fixed identifier on it. Fixed. If your driver's license has RFID on it, then presumably somebody will want to read it like a magnetic stripe. Well, what is the problem with the magnetic stripe? Well, if you can read what is in a magnetic stripe, which you can, have you anybody run a driver's license through a magnetic stripe device? It should be pretty readable. It should be in text, plain text. You should show your name, your address, and all that, right? Now, I haven't tried an RFID driver's license because I don't have one to try, but can you imagine that if they did the same as they did with a magnetic stripe? And some states already have this, so you can check it out. But does this mean that if you have a Generation B RFID on your driver's license, that somebody can scan your identity within 100 feet? So basically, as you're driving by a street corner in my house, now this is going to be interesting for Kelp will love this because maybe this is a way to catch burglars. I have a lot of burglaries in my neighborhood. A lot of them, caught by my camera. I've never been burglarized because, it's not safe here. It's not safe to come near me. So no, it's just a number. The officer compares the picture on the computer to your face. I don't know that, Jay. I don't know that. I don't know if it's just a number, because if they want to general use, they will probably have the number available for businesses to check so that they can check the information, or maybe they have the magnetic stripe and RFID, in which case the RFID may be just a number, like your driver's license number, and then maybe the information is kept in a database. I don't know. This standard might be different by state. I don't know if there's a standard for what they're going to use there. Is the passport based on just a passport number? Is that what's in the RFID? Either way, it doesn't matter. Let's say you will have a unique ID in your RFID. It will be unique. It will be unique. Therefore, if I scan you, I'll say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just came in through my block. And if I have a device like that, then I can say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was here, passed by my block approximately 30 minutes before the known burglary. So, right? Driver's license is permanent? Well, I would imagine that one of the things that they would put on there is the driver's license number. At my job, you can scan ID and right index finger. You can scan ID. The problem with the biometrics is not changeable. So once you hack a biometric, then you're done. What about these cards that are coming out to have all cards in one? If you're having a near field, meaning on a computer like Apple Pay, that is not subject to these kinds of hacks, because there's programming in here that can come up with rolling codes. Anything that is active with a program in it will not be as vulnerable as RFID. RFID is a scary kind of proposition. Fixed identifiers. I don't like that. Let me just tell you, relating to cell phones, because this is actually connected. Yeah, Faraday envelope will protect it, yes. So now you got to go, when you travel, you're going to have to carry that. And, it's just the stuff we got to do. Okay? So now if you hide your passport in a Faraday bag and you go to the airport, TSA will say suspicious person hiding. Instead of imagining what ifs or privacy, what about feeling of instead of imagining what ifs, how about the feeling of fewer sociopaths out there? Oh, okay. I guess I'm a sociopath. Apparently, according to somebody with the name that we never talk about, that your desire for privacy turns you into a sociopath. Wow. I guess all of you here are probably interested in privacy, so you're all sociopaths. So, well, we all want privacy for a reason, Kelp. Just we want to be left alone. The RFID tags, if if the information on the tag is not relevant to the device, it's not going to go recognize it. So you have to customize. There has to be a certain identifier, probably with check digits and so on that the scanner will recognize as RFID for driver's license. It's not just going to be some basic number. There has to be some confirming code that says, yep, this is in fact the proper RFID. So it's HID is usually used, not that sophisticated. Yeah, usually that's I'm going to guess, Jay Colby, that it's not going to be sophisticated. I don't think these guys have actually talked to security analysts that can actually check this out. And this exposes us to privacy issues. One of the privacy issues that I can think about is that every time you walk into a building, all you have to do is, when RFIDs are, common with because of TSA, you walk into a building and somebody's recording RFIDs walking in and out with your driver's license on it. I mean, talk about invasion of privacy. So you walk into a mall, a courthouse or whatever, and let's say you're a juror, which is supposed to be private. You're a juror, you walk into the courthouse and a third party is scanning you and collecting your information with an RFID, and then they match it to your identity in the database and then sell it to or give it to Palantir and say, oh yeah, we found you at these buildings because these buildings are subscribers to our system where they record RFID. What an invasion of privacy. This is the kind of stuff that I have to speak about because we don't really care. Now I'm going to give you a little combination thing here to show you how this can be extremely invasive, because you got to think like a data miner. You can't think in a very basic way. So your phone here, I'm going to tell you something else that has to do with radio frequency. Your phone emits a identifier. Anytime you walk around and go into a local area network, you're being identified by the local area network, even if you're not logged in to the local area network. When you log in, they can get your IP address, obviously, stuff like that. But if you do not log in, what information do they get from your phone if you are not logged in, meaning you're just walking around? So you walk into Walmart. What information can Walmart take from your phone? Well, I'm going to tell you right now that all of your devices have a unique MAC address. Every computer device has a MAC address. Well, this one, because it has Wi-Fi, is advertising its MAC address. So this is in a local area network. The way you are recognized by the network is by MAC address. So if you have a Wi-Fi if you have a Wi-Fi access point, the Wi-Fi access point can recognize the MAC address of all devices inside the network. Okay, because you can potentially connect to the network and it can read your information and say, oh yeah, because this device will query the network and say, I want, what's the information about your network, and then you get the information about SSID, the name of your Wi-Fi, and then the MAC address of the router. This also does the same thing. This sends out the MAC address, but I only turn on Wi-Fi on inside my house. You mean your Wi-Fi is turned off? So you go to Walmart. You go to Walmart and you do not have to log in to Walmart. Just like this device can read all the Walmart routers, just like this can read all the Walmart routers as well as your cell towers, they can also read the MAC address of the device when you walk in to Walmart. So the MAC address can be tracked. For example, they can see, based on the number of access points, they can triangulate you and say you're on aisle 7. So they can track you as you walk into the Walmart. They can say, okay, this guy walked in and went directly to aisle 7. Then he went to aisle 3. Then he went to aisle 9. And then he went to the cashier or walked out. Okay? You don't need to touch the Wi-Fi button on the phone. If you're not on airplane mode, this can transmit. If you're on airplane mode, it will track your location in the device and report it to Apple and Google, but it won't respond to the MAC addressing. So if you're not in airplane mode, then this will reveal your MAC address. Okay? And obviously, if you're in airplane mode, you're not going to receive text messages, etc. Okay? Machine learning rocks. Okay, so you're walking around with this device at Walmart, and now you've been identified as a frequent visitor, Mr. MAC address, 1234, 1234, 1234. Mr. MAC address 1234, 1234, 1234 has been here every week. So we recognize your device. There's no fix for it other than to turn off your device or go into airplane mode. Now, this is where it gets really, really tricky. If they can identify it through a secondary means, such as with an RFID driver's license, now you have a combo that you cannot evade, because now Walmart will know that not only did MAC address 1234 walk around in aisle 7, that they actually noticed that this MAC address is connected to this driver's license because of the RFID. So don't think about just one data point. When there's more data points around, they can actually come up with multiple data points and track you that way. And it's crazy, the kind of invasions of privacy that can happen. Now, all they have to do now is add one more thing, guys. Facial zucking recognition. So that you walk into the building and say, okay, we facially recognized you. We know what your driver's license is because we just scanned your zucking driver's license with RFID that TSA wants us to all use. And then on top of that, I got your zucking MAC address. I got your face, your RFID, and your MAC address. You're zucked. You're zucked. So every time you walk to Walmart, you're being spied on. It's like, okay, now they know where you're walking. And they'll say, well, we're using it for marketing. We want to know what, if you're a man or woman and what floors you go to and how men shop and how women shop and all this. So this is just zocked up. It's just this kind of stuff is just bothers me. Waiting for if you live in Wisconsin, they're already embedding the microchips, which I presume are RFID. I presume they're embedding RFID into your body. Okay? So what is so anyway, this is really, really bothersome to me when you think about combinations of things that can be done with RF. All of this is done contactless spying from a distance. I hate anything that's contactless distance spying. I hate all that. Okay, now you got to go. So E.T. Buck said, oh, well, I'm going to have to put a Faraday cage just for my identification, including my phone when I walk into Walmart. I mean, what does that kind of world are we dealing with here? I mean, this is the kind of world that is it. Fortunately, here in California, where we may be a year away from getting these RFID driver's licenses, but Zuck, some states, probably, 2/3 of the states are already implementing RFID on your driver's license. 2/3 of the states. So this is really weird. So we're all screwed. Let's get some. There you go, Rich. Frequent the tinfoil aisle. Messed up world. So Kelp, somebody named K would say, "Oh, who cares? It's the way it is. So we'll just have to accept it." I choose to fight. I think I have a RFID card as I do not drive. The streets are actually defecating in the streets of San Francisco. Something has, what? The Zucker you're talking about? I'm not answering questions. Your questions, I haven't even looked down, Starlight. I mean, I'm talking and I'm just looking down now. It's like, I'm not answering questions. So give me a second. Okay, let me see. If my microwave the chip will stop the frequency. If you microwave the chip, you will burn it. Hopefully that'll kill the chip. Kind of scary though. Yeah, if you take an RFID and you burn it, then it won't work anymore. Okay. Yeah. So some people say, if you have an RFID in your credit card, which is, like I said, it's very few people have that in America. A lot of people have handled the RFID by running it through a 3-hole punch. So you take your credit card, go look at the light. You can actually put the credit card against the light. There was actual test that did this. And then you see where the RFID is, and then you 3-hole punch the spot where it is. And your credit card will still work because the RFID is not used. But do not do it to these zucking chips. These are not RFID. Again, to repeat, that is not RFID. That is not RFID. Don't 3-hole punch that. Don't microwave that. No nothing, or your card would not work anymore. Don't do it to this card. These are not RFID. RFID credit cards are very rare in America. Maybe because they know about the hacks. Okay, and maybe they stop using them elsewhere as well. But I don't hear people talk about RFID credit cards anymore. But they are using it for driver's licenses and passports, and it's a requirement. Popcorn for you. Oh, thank you, DJ Murdoch. So passports and driver's license having RFID really, really bugs me. Really, really bugs me. Okay, so that's a little bit of a lecture on RFID. Now, and MAC addresses on phones. Let me go back to phones for a little bit here. I got a new license about a year ago. I checked if New York has RFID already on it. You can find out. California doesn't have it yet. Besides, I don't have a new. Chase started sending RFID credit cards. Are you serious? Oh, you said for regular use or for business? RFID is just zucked up. Why do you need an RFID for when you have the chip? You don't need it. Just don't bring your credit card. Bring your Apple Pay. Apple Pay will not require the physical card. 2020 in New York. Okay, so probably same in California, 2020. Keyword bug because you are bugged. Lots of things 1984 assume that aren't today. We are a different world. What is that YouTube video? Salt Lakers. I'm told to screen whatever that is you posted. I don't know what is it you posted. Hologram in a driver's license. What is the purpose of a hologram in a driver's license? To see if it's not fake? The Kink's paranoia. Okay, so chip yet in license. Yeah. So if it said there's a website that tells you what states have implemented RFID and license. California doesn't have it yet. They've been pushing California to have it, but this is one thing I love about the Democrats in New York and California. They don't like RFID, so I love that. So that's good. But can you read EVM chip technology? You mean this chip technology here? No, because this is contact based. This is contact based. So I've not tried hacking that now. California doesn't have it yet. At least I don't have it yet. Do you have sat nav in car? Uh, yes, not sat, but I have GPS and GPS, navigation, but it's not satellite. I just want a chip implanted in my arm. I give up. There you go. So now let me just tell you again about the new RFIDs, the one they want to put into the driver's license and passports. Those are Generation B RFIDs. And I want to know the difference in frequency between Generation A and Generation B, because Generation B has a longer range of 100 feet. So, which implies to me that it may be using a lower frequency in order to reach a longer range. Maybe it has a lower frequency. So I'm gonna have to read up on that. I am curious about what that actually means. They will eventually try to RFID or similarly tag your guns. Yeah, but then they'd have to embed it in the metal, right? Because guns are metal. They were trying to do the guns that are, like fires only based on who owns a gun. So if you don't own the gun, it doesn't fire. And then nobody bought it, and the company that started was losing so much money that they stopped doing it. And I'm like thinking to myself, do I want a gun that it fires only to my finger? Because that kind of bothers me. If you have a family that shares defense, and and you have SHTF, and then you have multiple targets, and you're sharing weapons between your family. I don't know if I want that kind of limitation. So I just want the simple way of doing it. You're trying to grab my gun, I'm gonna fire at you. That's what I'll do. Okay. Want to grab it? Okay, fine. Grab it. He didn't like that idea either. Finger recognized technology is not good yet. Don't burn your fingerprint. Yeah. 11 finger is very powerful. We should all carry an 11 finger. It'll be a duplicate of everyone else's. Can you shoot with your toes? Bingo. So anyway, that's I'm talking today about all the different things that are, invade our privacy or spy on us with remote use, like RF. Now, I don't know if you know this. Can I get a California driver's license that isn't a real ID? At the moment, I don't have a real ID. I don't have a real ID, so I thought they weren't ready yet. So this is really getting bad. It is bad. Now, let me just tell you something that I just want to educate you on, because there are actually sensors for this. Did you know that you can be spied on? I'm looking at my window here. Do you know that you can be spied on with lasers? So if somebody shoots a laser, this is a law enforcement thing that they can do. and certainly three-letter agency wise they can do this. So you can look at your window and look for telltale sign of a laser dot. If you see a laser dot on your window glass, then that can actually check the vibrations in the glass and is actually able to spy on you and listen to the sounds in your house. Okay, so that's another zucked up thing. Okay, you can make them yourself. So that's another zucked up thing that laser, yes. So the thing about lasers, they're not RF. So this is what bugs me is how do you detect laser? If somebody's firing a laser in your house, you have to visibly look for a dot. I mean, that is zucked up. So now, obviously, you got to think about your house and see where windows and doors are exposed from a distance. Because in order to do this, they would have to do it from a distance. So if they're in the side yard, it's going to be hard to see them. This is not movie, no angel. This is true. This is not a movie thing. This is true. There's actually, you can buy a detector on Amazon to detect this. And what you have to do is scan the window to see if there's a laser dot. Okay, so this is one of the techniques for spying on people. Because it's not RF, you have to physically look for the dot. You have to realize they're not mandatory if you have a new passport. That means you have to travel domestically, Eagle Source, with a passport. Great prices to be paying for our security. Well, in Florida, we screw them with hurricane shutters. I don't think the hurricane shutters are going to work if it's on the inside or on the outside. It's in glass. Can you detect and block Stingray hijacks? Let me talk about that again on Stingray in a moment here. But I just want to make sure that we're clear on what I'm talking about here with lasers. So lasers are done on glass. Okay, so you point the laser at the glass, and then there's some actual hacks on there I've seen of how to do this and the kind of equipment that you need to do the laser dot spying, and then it can hear sounds. I don't. This is not a tinfoil thing. This is reality. They can actually do this. So that's one of the. So again, you can buy the equipment to spot this on Amazon. They have some spy devices. They can also spot the frequencies used for wireless cameras and bugs that you find you go to a B&B. You go do a B&B, go on vacation and you use a B&B kind of spot. And if you don't check for spy devices, they've actually discovered B&B places that actually are spying on you. So this hello Danny. So you go to a B&B Kelp or somebody that start with letter K, and you're thinking, okay, I'm just gonna go rent this apartment, house, whatever, for a few days, and you don't think about it, and a lot of them have surveillance cameras, and they do it intentionally because they want to protect their property, and then some of them do it illegally for other reasons, like put it in private spaces like your bedroom. Okay, now most wireless cameras and wireless microphones operate at a certain frequency, so you can actually detect those frequencies. Well, since I have a RTL SDR, I can actually find out what those frequencies are, and maybe I'll come up with a project to spot this for you, and you just bring your computer and get this device and a piece of software to do it, and then and teach you how to do that using a normal computer. Okay, I'll find out. Eagle Source. I'll find out. It's a frequency for most of these devices that come from China. But if they alert you to that they are filming, well, it is their private property. Sure, but I probably would say, bye-bye, B&B. I'm not going to come back here anymore. Okay? Yeah, it's their property, but that doesn't mean you have to agree. right? So this is part of the projects I want to do with this RF thing, because there's a lot of hacks and things that happen in the RF spectrum that we don't really know about, and yes, it's against the BNB terms of service, but this came up. This came about because this actually happened several times, and this became an issue because spying on residents happened. So yes, the BNB will drop you. BNB will drop you if you start putting cameras in your property recently. So that's what's happening. Look at the vents or get a frequency analyzer. No, that's what I'm saying, Danny. I actually will test it out. BNB DJ Murdoch is when you the Uber of hotels. To get an Uber, instead of Uber a car, you Uber residents. Have you read the with a laser? No, the laser is for the window. So laser is when they do a window and they point a laser and then they can hear sounds. Airbnb, sorry. You can have cameras just not in bed and bathroom. Is that the TOS? Is that the TOS, Brosk? Okay, so something like not surprised at all that AYZ agency is already spying on all wireless cameras. So it's the commercialization of real residential zoning. Okay, so anyway, if you this is one of the things I want to research is build my own device for using an RTL SDR, which is cheap. And if you have a computer, you plug it into your computer, and then you can scan to see if somebody's doing stuff to you, like hiding cameras inside a house. You can actually sense it all, and that's part of the projects I will work on to see how all this works, because I am so curious about how all this works, and I want to do all I can do to educate you about RF spying. Thing I was watching in an Airbnb be smashing this chick if you came on. You have no idea how they can spy on your life. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about here, Danny. So, so I'm excited with all the experiments I can do with Airbnb. With this board that's kind of expensive. You're not gonna go buy one, but it's somebody like me can use it to figure out some inexpensive ways to check your safety in today's world. It's kind of dangerous out there. I've seen some of these devices. They're portable. They're on Amazon, but the problem is I don't know if they work. That's why I want to check it out myself by testing it with a true professional piece of equipment that can actually check RF. So don't buy those little devices. I don't know if they even work at all. They're going to charge you $100 for some, $200, and we don't even have any idea if they work. Okay, if I find something and it can work, I'll recommend it, and then you guys can go buy those devices. But let me verify that first. So yes, this is my new thing now. I'm it's kind of a change from programming, because as a programmer, I'm actually shifting gears and saying maybe I can use my skills in terms of providing information that nobody has the capability of doing. Okay, well, you can't Faraday shield a Airbnb camera since somebody put it there without your knowledge. So, by the way, just look at Periscope now. I've been here for an hour and a half, and Periscope is showing 360 viewers. This is crazy. Okay, from 14,000 viewers now I get, what is it? 361. So it's kind of pointless, So I'd rather you all just go to YouTube, because I'm just so frustrated with Periscope right now. I replace all my drywall and appliances 2 times a year to make sure there are no hidden devices. You replace your drywall 2 times a year. I see 34. I read 33. Now I'm talking about the total. I mean, that's an embarrassment, to not even get to 1,000 now because I don't fall into the, or I don't fake my numbers like some people. Some people are supposed to be, you know, getting all these numbers and they're getting trending. They're trending on Periscope and with fake numbers. Zoc, how can you trend on Periscope with fake numbers? It's bad enough that you're trending, but you're trending with fake numbers. Crazy. So not interested in that anymore. Okay, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of worrying about what Periscope does. Okay, it's just not important anymore. So yes, just stick to YouTube. If you would, I'd prefer you just watch on YouTube. Maybe I'll just drop Periscope one of these days because it's just too frustrating for me. Yes, fake news. Anyway, I want to talk again about LTE and how you are hacked with a Stingray and just signs and symptoms that tell you that this is happening. So I specifically just looked at LTE to see, what the latest hack is on LTE. And I will have, like I said, a device that can actually replicate this, okay? So I will have a device that does this, and I will be able to replicate what they did at DEF CON to do this kind of hack. I had a quick look at your YouTube, and there was an insurance ad before I saw you. Yeah, John, yeah, I'm monetized now on YouTube. I should have majored in fuzzy logic. Just invited 7374 fake friends. Yes, and notice that they don't react to your 734 fake friends don't react to you on Periscope because most of them are no longer on Periscope. So yes, and I'm not in a global list, obviously. So here in the last few minutes, I got an additional 5 users on Periscope. So it's really stupid. It's just a waste of energy. It's, the watch hours on YouTube are more reliable and it's fixed and it tells me what's actually happening. So anyway, yes, so I'm monetizing on YouTube, and yesterday I made 15 cents. Or 2 days ago I made 15 cents. I believe I get paid half a cent per view. Half a cent per view. You dropped off Perry for years and now you're still on Perry. Why are you not on YouTube then, Greg Robb? Are you having a Easter dinner tomorrow? Yes, not yesterday, but tomorrow. Yes, I will not be scoping tomorrow because I have guests here for Easter. Okay, so let's talk about Stingray on LTE. So this is exactly how they do the attack. So on the old 2G, it's very easy for them to attack you because all they have to do is, if you go to 3G, all they have to do is do a DOS or denial of service, and then you will automatically drop down to 2G. Okay, so it's very easy to hack 3G that way. So again, let me just explain that again in simple terms. Let's say that you approach a target with a phone and you want to hack their phone and listen into their conversations. On 2G, on 3G and 2G, what you have to do is you actually jam the 3G signal range. So if you know this person's on 3G and you know the frequencies for 3G, let's say it's 857 megahertz it by carrier. So if you're in T-Mobile will have a range, and so the range may be 857 to 862 megahertz. And if you know that range on 3G, then you jam it. Okay? How do you jam it? You basically have a stronger transmitter and you jam it by sending noise, an even noise at that frequency, and that then causes the phone to disconnect. The phone will then disconnect and try to reconnect on 2G, except it's going to connect to your base station because you have a stronger signal. And on 2G, this is the way 2G works. On 2G, the base station decides if there's going to be any encryption. So you basically tell your base station that this base station does not want any encryption. So you basically push the person down to 2G into a base station with no encryption, and you set that up as the base station owner, meaning the Stingray device. So once you do that, then you're now inside the base station doing whatever you're doing in 2G, no encryption, and all your traffic now can be read through Wireshark, through IP address traffic, and so on. You can basically run your normal software checks and see all your traffic, which is in voice over IP. Went nowhere. It can go somewhere because all you have to do is have an internet connection. Okay? It will have an internet connection. So what will happen is once I get the traffic through my my base station, which is my Stingray, I get your call and I route your call through the internet. So I have an internet connection, maybe through somebody else, let's say, AT&T. Then I route the internet traffic to AT&T and then have them routed back through the network. So if you're on T-Mobile, you can have a device that you have to have permission to do this. So this is not something you can do without permission from the carrier. So the carrier has to know that you're routing the traffic back to their network through IP, meaning through the internet. So then they receive your signal through the internet and route you back to the network, and you have no idea that you just passed through Stingray. This is how the commercial Stingrays would work. Okay, so that's the trick. Now in 4G, it doesn't work like that, and the reason is 4G, the way they did it was the signal, the cell tower you choose is basically tied to your device. Your device doesn't give up a cell tower. So if your cell tower that you used is cell tower A, it's going to fight to keep it on cell tower A. So as long as you're in the same area, it does not just hunt down another one with a stronger signal. It stays with its cell tower. Okay? Don't get zucked by your family tomorrow. Keep your. I have a VPN now, VPN router. For those of you who don't have a VPN router, you need to get one because when your relatives come, they're gonna zuck you. So in my case, I have a VPN router. They can use my VPN router, and I'll stay away from the camera. And if they use my VPN router, then they won't get my IP address. So I get that covered. Cell phones are in the frequency of 450. Danny, cell phones are in the United States 850, between 800 to 900, and most of them are in the 850 range. And then the LTE is in the upper part of that range. The GSM is in the lower part of that range. And then the other place that they hunt down is 1900 megahertz or 1.9 gigahertz. So that's the current cell phone frequencies in the U.S. It varies in different countries. In the U.S., they're all in there. I scanned them all. Okay, I've already checked this. This is verified that the traffic in the U.S. is 850 to 880, something like that. And the I can't scan the 1900 range. I don't have a device for scanning that at the moment. I will soon, but for the moment, it's I can't scan that. It's 12. Thank you, Rich. Happy Easter, Rich. So anyway, uh, ready for the relatives. Entire Meyer got his going. Okay, 12 gauge is a deadly weapon. Make sure you have to choke. Thumb up this broadcast. Thank you. Anyway, 4G. This is the way 4G works. So with 4G, the way they attack you is first to get you to lose the LTE signal because it won't attach itself to a stronger LTE. So if you have a stronger LTE signal with a Stingray like device, which you can make your own. Yes, so I can make my own Stingray in theory. So I actually know how to do that now. And so I'll probably build my own Stingray just for me, just to see how it works. And so the basic way it works with LTE is you have to force them to disconnect from the network. And this is how you do it. Okay? You probably have to jam the signal momentarily. So you send a little jamming, so that causes the phones to disconnect. Can you rename it? DJ Murdoch, I will see what I can do legally. Yes, but I will. I see what I can do legally, and maybe make videos in it. That is the point, because it's kind of expensive. What's the purpose for getting it is other than to practically the only benefit to me to getting this is if I can make educational videos about it. So in LTE, if I jam the signal, when you unjam it, you'll still connect to the same LTE. So you're not gonna leave your same cell tower. This is the way 4G works. So I jam it and I unjam it, then you still stay with the same cell tower. So it doesn't help. You can't really do the attack that you can do with 3G with Stingray. So now what do you do? So apparently this is one of the things that you can do is you say you jam it and then you send a signal to the phone and you say, I don't know who you are, Mr. Cell Phone. And in 4G, the phone doesn't reveal its IMSI or the username. So IMSI is the username of your phone. Okay, so this is like the Starlight Karaoke name. It's attached to your phone, except it's called an IMSI. Okay, so your IMSI. So this in 4G, this does not reveal the IMSI. It reveals something called a TIMSI, temporary mobile subscriber identifier. Okay, so but if I send you a signal, if I send your signal to your phone that says, I don't know who you are, then this is the fallback. This is funny. So your phone falls back. This is what one hackers did. Your phone, IMSI, not IMEI. So your phone falls back to the normal mode. And by the way, at this stage of communication, there's no encryption yet. VPN Tor will make you anonymous. Yes, but that's not enough. You have to do a little bit more than that. Danny, you have to, obviously being on Facebook and stuff like that and browser fingerprinting. So Tor and VPN is a part of the solution, not the complete solution. You need it, but it's not enough. This is why, otherwise I'll just say, get a VPN and you're done. No, it's not. It's complicated, as you can see. There's many things you got to worry about. So anyway, on your cell phone, so your cell phone will not be encrypted at this stage of conversation, and it will respond and say, oh, you don't know who I am. This is my IMSI. So this is very funny. Your phone does not normally communicate and tell you what your identity is. But if a cell tower says, I don't know who you are, the response to the phone is, your LTE phone will respond and say, oh, you don't know what I am, who I am? I'll give you my IMSI. And then it actually reveal your actual username on this. And as you know, if you know your IMSI, then you're kind of zucked because they know who you are. Okay, so now your phone just revealed the IMSI. So at this point, the next normal stage is for 4G to go into encryption mode. Then it'll go into encryption mode, and then you can't see the conversation anymore. The hack is this. So once it says, okay, here's my IMSI, you respond back and say, you are not a subscriber. We don't know who you are. You are not a subscriber. So you know what this phone will do when you get that message? It will shut down LTE. It will shut down LTE. So this is different. I don't know how 5G works. I have no idea. Nobody's hacked 5G yet because it's not even production it's only in testing mode. Okay, so this phone now will drop down because it will cancel out limited areas subsam, and some are fake LTEs, like limited areas like Minnesota. I'm still devastated to earn the Earth is not 42 people and not watching you on YouTube. Why did I show up on the list? International subscriber number is real. Yes, of course it's real. What the heck does that mean? Okay, now listen to what I'm trying to say here. So once it says, I don't know who you are, your LTE shuts down, and now your phone goes into 3G. Okay? Your phone goes into 3G, in which case then you can do the 3G hack. Some software's running, Danny. Is it good software, bad software? It's a question to ask. But if it's Periscope, then Periscope makes it hot. So that's how they do the hack now. So how do you know that you've been hacked on LTE? Well, you will not be on LTE. So that's one of the tricks, is that if your phone refuses to go to LTE, then somebody just hacked it. So just look at your phone and see, is it not going to LTE? In which case, why is it not going to LTE? And then you'll know. Okay, now you can type out a code on your iPhone. I forget the code on Android, but on an iPhone you can type out a sequence like this. And I'm not going to tell you right now because I need to make a video about it. But you can say *1001 #12345 *, and you send that on this device, and will actually show you the signal strength and all that to your tower. It will actually tell you if LTE is running or not. So that's one way to know if you're on LTE, is it's called a field test. There's a different command for Android. There's a different command for older phones. This is the one I just told you is for newer iPhone. I thought LTE not being on was because I was in rural area. So it can be that, Angel, but the thing is that if you go into a good area, it should go back to LTE. If it refuses to go back to LTE, and you have to restart your phone to go back to LTE, that could be a sign of Stingray. Okay? LTE at top, not reliable. What does that mean? I find them so that's one of the clues. If you look at your phone and you say, why is my phone stuck on LTE? Or if you're stuck on 2G, then you need to start wondering about that. Okay, so I will learn more as I test this myself. As I make my own cell tower and test it, and then I'll progressively make LTE will drop to 4. Well, LTE is 4G. We need to know and have others know too, so they can make their own decisions. What does that mean? LTE image at header and reliable. I don't think Android has real access to the header. So you can't actually, what you're looking for is the base station information. I don't believe you can access that on Android or an iPhone. I don't think that they actually allow, unless you program your own computer. I don't think you're allowed to see the base station information. Now, you can if you have a computer. So if you scan the network, you can scan the computer and then scan the base station to know what base station you're connected to. Your phone does not care. This is why a phone can easily be hacked with Stingray, and you're never going to know it. There's actually no evidence on it. So the only one of the evidence things that causes you to wonder if it goes to 2G and it doesn't want to go back to LTE. Those are signs of trouble. Now, let me just tell you, somebody doesn't necessarily need to listen to your phone calls. So sometimes they only want to see what you're texting and all that. So they don't need to actually encrypt everything. So to that degree, they don't need to go to 2G and listen in, because 2G, they can listen to your conversation. But they don't necessarily need to do that. Sometimes they're just trying to locate you. So even on 4G, they can locate you. So on 4G, even they can override all this encryption. If their only purpose is to locate you, they can do it. Okay? So if you don't want to get located, I believe you have to go to airplane mode. Hello, D-Pace. So let me just, again, explain this to you, because this part is not clear. This part is not clear. Does airplane mode protect you? I want to make sure this is clear. By the way, I want you to watch that video I posted on Community on YouTube. Watch that video. It's from Vice, and it has Snowden on it, and he talks about stuff that I'm always talking about. Yes, and there's a video that tests this in airplane mode, so this is true. Okay, so now again, airplane mode. Airplane mode does not stop Wi-Fi triangulation. Let me repeat this again. Airplane mode does not stop Wi-Fi triangulation. What is Wi-Fi triangulation? Wi-Fi triangulation is when your location is captured and stored on the device and then later fed to Apple or Google. That part is not going to be affected by airplane mode. So that kind of spying from Apple and Google will continue. So you can put this in airplane mode and you can still, that's easy enough to test, I guess. Just use Find My Phone. But you don't even need to know that, because obviously an iPad doesn't have airplane mode, and yet an iPad can be spied on with Find My Phone. So therefore, that tells you that Find My Phone is not connected to airplane mode. Okay. However, airplane mode disconnects you from your carrier. Let me repeat that. Airplane mode disconnects you from the cell network. Therefore, if airplane mode is on, you cannot be hacked by Stingray. In the US, it's only 850 and 1900, Freddie. Location spoofing effective? Of course not. What is the purpose of location spoofing? Do you know what location spoofing is, Greg? location spoofing is they spoof an IP address and spoof a GPS. That doesn't work with with Wi-Fi triangulation. Yeah, Freddie Race. I've scanned the network. My network here. I can't scan above, 1.8 gigahertz. So I can't look at 1.9 gigahertz. So that's my current device is unable to scan that. So I can only tell you the reality of what I've scanned in the U.S. in my area here. The U.S. carriers are transmitting self data only in the 850 range. Between 800 and 900 and under 900. Like they don't go beyond 880. So mostly between 850 to 880. That is where the cell phone traffic is happening. 850 to 880. I can scan it. I can do video to show you. Not true, Danny. Triangulation the word triangulation requires 3 points, but Wi-Fi triangulation only requires 2 points. Wi-Fi triangulation is a 2-point scanning. I was told Home Depot is using facial recognition. Well, I explained to you that can now be combined with other information. Your car was totaled, Starlight? Wow. Cameras are response to courts rotating criminals back in the streets through. Okay. Why don't you do cameras? Why don't you do cameras on criminals, Kelp? I don't understand your logic. So they found a trace of a chemical in the air, so therefore all air in the world needs to be filtered. I don't know. It's just kelp is just just zucked up. You love the ads, Jay. Okay, so I will scan the I will educate you on some of this information on frequencies once I have the device, and I will show you some of this and maybe a way to use it in real life to detect things on our networks. This is going to be very informative for me because I don't really know anything, and I'm not, I'm only learning now about how to use RF. I am not an RF hacker. So, I'm not an RF hacker. So I'm learning how to do this right now, and I'm going to make videos about this because our privacy is being invaded by RF in a big way. What do we do if you get disappeared? Think of me as Taken. I have a particular set of skills. I have a particular set of skills. I will find you. I need to get that recording. That's on the internet somewhere. Reruns. I need to record that, and people use that as their phone answering machine, but they caught the guy quickly. So this is hopefully I'm so excited about what I can do, learning about RF and RF spying, because this is another area of privacy that I can only talk in the past theoretically on. I am not. Freddie, you're an RF engineer. Okay. But I'm on point. Yes, I'm telling you, I am not an RF engineer, but so Freddie Race. So I got myself I'll tell you, since you're an RF engineer, I ordered a Blade RF Micro. It has a range of, I believe, somewhere around 40 kilohertz all the way up to 6 gigahertz. So I just bought this device. It'll come next week. Aren't you minions? So I'm gonna have fun with this device. Can you imagine going up to 6 gigahertz? My current device, my RTL SDR, can only go to 1.5, 1.4 gigahertz. It doesn't go all the way up. And then the other thing is that it has a very narrow bandwidth, and this new one has a 32 megahertz. It's a huge bandwidth that you can check at one time. So it's great for spectrum analysis, and it goes all the way to this big range to 5G territory. So then I can actually hello Bernie. So I can actually check it out and see what the heck is going on, because I don't know what's going on above in the higher frequencies. When you're disappeared, us anonymous will continue your mission. Frequency counter, because it was a new one, better insurance. So I'm learning about RF, and I'm excited to see what I can do with this. This is like, I see all these hacks on DEF CON about RF, and RF is the one area that I have no experience with. But when what's changed in RF now? Back in the old days, you need all this fancy equipment and all this stuff that they have to do with sensing RF, and it's turned to software now. So tracking RF or radio frequency is not down by software, and software is my thing. So it's like, software, no problem. I can do that. So yeah. So, and yes, YubiKey to RF. So Great Gold, you see, I implemented an authenticator on BraxMe. None of these are hard. It's easy. I can do any kind of programming. So the device I got, which is called a Blade RF Micro, can actually have me create. I can create a base station with that. I can make a cell station. You can actually put a bunch of Blade RF micros attached to a Linux computer in your neighborhood and come up with a cell station and sell your service and say, hey, it's illegal, of course, because you got to rent the frequency from the FCC. Band spectrum is a problem with frequency counters. Yeah, I'm going to do spectrum analysis to see, like I said, track certain frequencies. I can see frequencies right now. I'm also enjoying listening to air traffic control and all that, and aircraft transponders. I've done that. I'm near the ocean. I can listen into VHF, marine traffic. I've done all that. Too bad we can't get you to reprogram government and business. Well, fortunately, I got to make money. So this is really exciting, because this may take us into a new realm of privacy kind of research in things that I wasn't able to do before. So this is this may be next month. It may take me a month to implement all this, because I'm only taking me a week to get the equipment, then I got to learn how to use it, then I got to start programming it. So this may be a month away, but at least that's the beginning of it. And then from here on, we will include radio frequency in our discussions and things that I can only talk in theory before. I can now talk about more in real life. Yeah, I mentioned 5G last night. I'm not actually a conspiracy theorist on 5G. I don't know what exact frequency they're going to use for 5G, but I'm telling you right now that your 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi is already in that range. So a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi is already in the range of what your 5G is supposed to do, and the signal for that range, the gigahertz range, is very weak. It can't even cross a wall. Geez, now I gotta get a ham license. So, can't cross the wall. So if it can't even cross the wall, I don't know why you're so worried about it. The higher the frequency, the less it's able to be absorbed because it can't cross. It can't even a little obstacle and it just you stop it. So the higher the actually the frequencies that tend to be more additional are the lower frequencies. So I do not have a ham license now. I have some licenses because I use VHF. Trying to remember now. See, the problem is, it's been a long time since I filled out those licenses. I actually forgot what license I have. I think I have several because I have VHF for Marine, and then I have some personal communication things, devices, and I have a license for those. And now I don't know what my license is. I don't know how you find out. What license do I have or not have? I do not have a ham license. But because I do marine radio, my boat has a marine radio, so I know I have that license. So I have a general license. You should get one. You have a general license? Okay, but it takes a while to get a general license because you got to get the technical license first, right? Wow. So I guess a lot of work to do. Only techies stay home talking about this on Friday and Saturday night. That's funny, Deanna. Okay, so hopefully this has been an educational and fun broadcast. I'm reading a book on ham radio right now. QRC call sign. Do you have one? If so, what is it? I do not have a. I don't remember what I don't remember what a call sign is. I also had CB radio back in the day, and I had I may have 3 licenses somewhere, probably 3, on some frequency ranges, but I don't know what it is anymore. I guess you got to just keep paying it over and over because you don't know. No code amateur. So I don't know. You must have it. No, I don't, John. I don't remember even what the frequency range is because I don't have those devices anymore. First, you have to know what the device is. Well, I know the VHF because I still use it. So I can check. Well, obviously, I can use that. So anyway, this is I don't have a ham license. But in the boating community, hello, seized nails. In the boating community, a ham license is typical. A lot of people have a ham license when they're boaters. Well, an SDR radio can probably do them. SDR radio receiving does not need a license. It's when you do sending. But my intent is to do only sending within, like a few feet. So with no antenna. So I shouldn't have a problem with the FCC without actually sending it out on the air. I don't need to actually do a broadcast out in the open. So it's mostly lab testing. So I'll see if I need one for lab testing. And entire Meyer, I thought went the way of CB. I don't know. I don't remember now, Greg Rob. That's my problem is I don't remember. I know I had to fill out some licensing forms back in the day. No, not a problem with FCC because I'm not going to actually transmit because you cannot transmit in the GSM range in real life because that's reserved for AT&T, Sprint, and all that. Unless CB is still a big deal. Nobody uses CB anymore. Come on. There's a video of this guy bought a new CB radio and then went out on the road looking for somebody to talk to, and nobody can talk to him because no one is around using CB. You still use CB? Wow. Rare. You're not a ham radio guy? So I don't know anything about ham radio. You can do community service spots on civil defense and civil air control. Interesting. Yeah, it's a lot I don't know. But I'm only interested in testing and mostly spectrum analyzing. Ring the relevant ham department. They will have all your info. Portrayal was total trying to portray what isn't in that. What the zuck does that mean? I should have read who was saying it before I read the comment. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. I can foresee that my content will get more interesting. I found out that on YouTube that people don't like me to talk theoretically. They actually want to see stuff. So if I just do stuff without actually physically doing something, people get bored with me just talking. So, and I don't understand why you guys are not appreciating that video I made called Browser Threat Test. That's the last video I did. Browser Threat Test. Because that is not just talking. I actually am doing something and showing you. Has anyone run that test? Okay? You need to run that test yourself. Don't just, watch the video. Run the test yourself and see what it does. See what it tells you. And you will find that even if you're on a VPN or Tor, it will zuck you up. Check, yes, Greg Rob, and subscribe to my YouTube. So it will zuck you up, even though you have you think you have protection. Run that so you can understand how it will zuck you up. Okay, it's kind of crazy. It remembers a fingerprint. It does Wi-Fi triangulation, which is not part of IP addresses. And then the IP address itself has its own location. And then on top of that, it had the autofill test to see if it can steal data from autofill. So there were 4 things in there. And you need to go test that and learn. I ran the test today. And what did you learn from it, Twist Mint? Did you learn anything from it? Did you learn anything from it? Where are you really at? Were you really at YouTube Creator Space? Come on, DJ Murdoch. No, I was not at YouTube Creator Space. No, I had to hack my program to offset the location so that it lands. So every time I show my location, it will offset it and put me in YouTube Creator Space. So it doesn't matter where I am, it will offset it and put it in YouTube Creator Space. That way the video doesn't fail me, because otherwise I will be showing my actual location. Okay? I did not use autofill. Well, you should test it with just garbage just to see how it works. It's exciting because once you have learn a little bit of something, you realize how much you don't know. Alligator Station. Okay, so anyway, run that. Could you fish in that lake? In that's actually the ISP's lake. That's somewhere in downtown LA. I don't know what that lake is. I've never seen it. So somewhere near downtown LA, there's that. Is it a real lake or it's a fake lake? It doesn't even. I don't even know if it's a real lake. I have no idea if it's a real lake. So when you do the test on autofill, if you do not actually use autofill, fake it. Just come up with fake information there just to see how it works, then delete it afterwards. Okay? Because, you just need to understand what the risk is. Because I found out that I inadvertently switched on autofill and I didn't even know it. AT&T building no windows. You saw that scope. AT&T building no windows. I need to rebroadcast that. I need to do that in a short video. Thank you. Thank you, Brad. I'm going to do a video on the AT&T buildings. It's been a while. It's a shame DuckDuckGo lies openly about not tracking the obviously tracked browser fingerprint. No, Freddy Race. I'm showing you that all browsers are unable to stop fingerprint. It's not that DuckDuckGo is not doing the fingerprinting. They just are unable to stop it. Even Tor is unable to stop it. If you watch my video, you actually start to really learn how vulnerable we are. You really need to pay attention to it. It's a vulnerability test. It just makes you think and you say, what the fuck? Okay, and maybe on Monday I'll talk about how that fingerprint is potentially used. we'll save that for Monday. But I also thank you, Brad, for reminding me. I'm going to do a video on those AT&T things. What do you mean by fingerprinting the user agent? No, it's not just user agent. No, it's it. Watch the video. It's on the video. And then run the test yourself. Then you see what's being fingerprinted. It includes user agent, canvas fingerprint, graphics fingerprint, on and on and on. There's, you know. Hello, Rob, to seek the truth. Okay, run the video. Watch the video, Justin, because trying to explain it here doesn't help. Okay, if you haven't seen the video and you think you don't like the title, unfortunately, it's kind of a boring title. I don't know how to make it more interesting. Maybe some of you can suggest it because it's such an important topic, but the title doesn't tell you how important it is. Because I'm trying to make the title show up in YouTube search and not based on what it's actually trying to do. I'm trying to, see how I can get into the search things on YouTube, and the title isn't exciting. I have to come up with some other title for that. So, which I can do. I can go back and do it. So anyway, watch that video. There will be no broadcast tomorrow, and then on Tuesday I have a jam session. So we'll compensate. Monday will be a regular broadcast. Tuesday will be a jam session. Okay, guys? So see you all on Brax.me. Talk to me on YouTube as well on the comments. Leave comments on the videos. And then Zuck, crack the search code for YouTube. And then we'll see. I probably will come up with another video midweek next week. Okay, guys? The AT&T building and the windows so that the customer service employees can't jump out. Okay. Good night, guys. Okay. Bye-bye.